Good morning, this is Tricia with Easy Emini Trade, and I wanted to go over a few things for Wednesday, January 13th. And if you want more information on the setups, you can go to www.easyemintrade.com, and also you can get the information for the webinar coming up on Thursday, January 21st. We will be going over the setups and how you can take them on basically on anything, be it equities or any of the markets. So we'll go over setups that are happening on the ES, the NQ, and then also the Euro future. So you might find it helpful. So we've been watching setups occur on the NQ and the Euro future as well as the ES, and I'm going to go over all of them this morning as quickly as I can. Unfortunately, I'm limited as to the amount of time that I have on YouTube, so I'll quickly go over it. The setups are exactly the same. The indicators are exactly the same. The only difference is on the Euro, we are trading off a tick chart. So here is the ES, and here's a trade that we took, and this was at 10:10, and we get closed outside the channel, and away we go. Everything's in line to take that. We did not take it here when it closed outside the channel, because right here is right here on this bar here, and we know that typically when we get close to that moving average, even though we're not taking a trade off the longer tick chart, this is our overview of the market. This is what I like to look at, and we know that oftentimes this indicator, this moving average, will act as support or resistance. So if I'm trading close to that, I will usually wait to get through it. I don't have to wait for a close below it. I just need price to be trading through it, and that was on this bar. So we took that, and this trade worked out nicely. When we took that, we knew that we might have issue down here at the 28.50 area thereabouts, and we didn't quite make it to 28.50. We actually made it to 29.25. So regardless, worked out just fine. Here we are trading up to the 50% retracement. We do get closed outside the channel, but we've got our floor trader pivot point right above us. We have our close from the previous day right above us. So anything that occurs is going to have to be above that area. This happened at lunchtime, and unfortunately I had already left, but you get closed above those areas outside the channel. Everything's in line to take it, and you could take it above this bar here. And you had to sit for a while before it actually worked, but it did finally work. The other option is you could have taken it here. This is an area that we had been watching because of previous price action, and that was 37.50. And if you took that, again, you got above the resistance area outside the channel, and you would have had your order in above this bar. Next bar never filled, but it's still valid, so you could actually move your entry to above here or above here. Either way works. And you sat in that just for a little while, and then it did go. The other option is you would have had another opportunity here if you didn't get in here or here. Again, during lunch, but close outside the channel, everything's in line to take it, and it goes. Your target would be the area above you at 11.43. So I typically am going to exit in stages, and once I get my first target, then I'll move my stop to my entry. So obviously, depending on which one of these you took during lunch, any one of them work. Then we pretty much go sideways 247. And took it knowing that the high from the previous day is right above our head. So that was basically going to be our target, just below that. So we knew that going in, worked out just fine. Then I lost my internet, unfortunately, but this was an area that we had on our screen, 43.75, that we'd been watching for a while now, for a couple weeks, as an area that we would likely get up to once we started to move higher on the daily chart. Likely if I was here, I wouldn't have taken it anyway because we were not above that. But if somebody wanted to take that knowing that they might have a little bit of issue there, you got closed outside the channel here, and you would have been filled here, and you would have gotten a point out of it. So again, totally up to you and what your criteria is. And here's the NQ. Like I said, all the same indicators are on it, all the same requirements for the entry. I'm not sure that I'm going to use a 5100 as the broader view of the market, or maybe make it a little smaller, but for now that's what we've got on our screen. And you do get a setup here, 10:02. You do have the low from the previous day here, and I want to point out that you're going to do the exact same thing that you do on the ES. You're going to look to the left, either on a 15-minute or a longer tick chart, and see areas where you're likely to have some issues. So you can see, looking to the left here from day before yesterday, that you do have some congestion. So you know that likely is going to be your target area, that general vicinity, or the low from the previous day. So I can't stress enough that I would suggest taking something off the table so you are profitable, and then move your stop to your entry, because obviously we never know exactly where price is going to trade to. We're just doing the best we can to figure out what's realistic to expect. Here you get closed outside the channel, but not really interested because of what is above your head. This occurred during lunch, just like the trade that we pointed out on the ES that set up during lunch. And you get closed above the pivot point and the close from the previous day, and you look to take an entry here, never gets filled, and then you close back under those areas. So likely then you'd put your order in above this bar here. You're above the 50% outside the channel. Indicator actually is in line on this bar, not on these bars, and then it goes. The other option would have been is here. You get closed outside the channel. You never get your entry price, then you would have put it in place again above the high here. So that worked out as well. That again was during lunch. Right here at 129, this bar here closes outside the channel, but your indicator is not quite in line yet until this bar. So you get your bar closed outside the channel, everything's in line to take it, you enter in above the high there, quarter above that, and it works out. Again, your expectation would be to get back up to the high of the previous day, because it does finally get there, but you sat there for quite a while waiting for it. But regardless, it worked out just fine. If you didn't take this trade here, then you would need to wait to get above the high from the previous day in order to take something. Nothing sets up. We actually took a trade right around this time frame on the ES, but you'll notice that it never did set up on the NQ. Again, this was at the end of the day. Close outside the channel, indicator in line. You could enter in above the high of this bar. You get filled, and again, works out just fine. And this is the Euro future, and depending on what platform you're using, your symbol might be different. In my account that I trade out of, it's actually 6EH0. Here, for the screen that I'm sharing with you, it's E6H0. If you're with TradeStation, it's ECH10. So just check on the list of your symbols and you'll be able to find that out. But here you get closed outside the channel, and granted, if you look here, you're not quite in a downtrend yet when you look at the 15-minute chart, but with that said, everything's in line to take this, and you would expect that if you could if you enter this, you would at least expect to get down to the 50% retracement. So that would be your target. You could have entered here, you could have entered here, and either one of those would have worked. Again, that's at 10:03 or 10:05, your expectation to be down here. If you want to wait to get below the 50% retracement, because we do know that that is usually an area where we bounce or stall. We also have a midpoint on our floor trader pivots there. Then you could go ahead and enter here once you got closed below all that, knowing that the pivot point below you is likely to be your target. You actually got a little below that before it bounced. And you don't have to trade off the tick chart. You can use a 1-minute chart, totally up to you. They will both work out just fine. Here you get a setup outside the channel, again wanting to be below these items here, and your target would be this midpoint down here. So it works out for about 6 or 7 ticks depending on where you could get filled. Now here you do get a close outside the channel on the way up, but you are technically in a downtrend. So with that said, you could definitely take this with the expectation of getting back up to the 50% retracement, because we know that that is usually an area where you stall, or in this case you would pull back. And you can see here by looking at the 15-minute chart that that's exactly what happened. So you could enter in above here, and that would be your target, coming up to that 50% retracement area. Otherwise, you look to get through that and then look for an entry. Here, you do get through that 50% retracement, but when you have an order in place above the high here, it never trades to that price, so it never gets filled, and then you're trading back under it. So then you would cancel your order. Pretty simple, actually. But I like to have that little bit of cushion above or below a setup bar. So anyway, I hope that helped.